What is going on, Facebook fam? I'm driving. No, I'm not being pulled over yet. Haven't started the clock yet. And it's still light out. So we'll see what happens after the sun goes down in a couple hours. What's up, Fred? I see you. So, while I'm en route to the area I am going to start the clock in, I figured I'd talk to you for a second, for a few minutes. Something's on my mind and I had to get it out. I have to, purge myself sometimes, and in the process of doing so, hopefully be of assistance to somebody else. So today I want to talk to you about owning your ish. I'm going to do my best not to cuss. I don't want to cuss, because I want to get my thoughts out clearly using my vocabulary and proper vernacular without the need for profanity to shorten or Twitterize my thoughts. Now listen, I think one of the biggest problems that we have in our interpersonal relationships is, the lack of ability to own our mistakes. Now, nobody likes to have their mistakes pointed out to them. The problem with that is, if you don't take ownership of your own errors, then the problem is not really with the person who's pointing out the problem. What's up, Bobby? I see you. The onus is not really with the person who's pointing out the problem. The onus is on you. If the mistake or the flaw or the error is yours, and it's your own guilt about having made that mistake or error or what have you that you have the most problem with, and then when someone points it out, they're shining a light on you. They're pulling your skirt up, as it were, and all your business is out there, you feel. And it is that secondary or additional embarrassment that would lead you to feel that something is wrong, or that the other person is wrong. And it's not that the other person is wrong for pointing out your mistake. You feel that the other person is wrong for embarrassing you, if nobody but yourself. See, so the way you defeat that, the way you combat that, is to be the first one to own your ish. Own your own mistakes. Be the first one to say, you know what, I was wrong. Damn, I messed up. That way, if anybody brings it up, you don't have to get mad, because you've already taken ownership of it. You don't have to get mad. You can simply say, yeah, you know what, I messed up. And I feel bad about it, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Because then you have to forgive yourself. And if you can forgive yourself, but the other person can't forgive you, then it's their problem and not yours. This is what I've come to realize what people mean when they say forgiveness is not so much for the other person as it is, or more so than it is, for yourself. All right? So, perfect example. So I like to speak by example. This past Friday, I had a coaching call that I always have every Friday morning. I'm a human being. I overslept and I missed my client's call. And this particular client is very, very business minded. So I know she was pissed. And I felt really, really bad. And so a simple I'm sorry really I didn't feel would cut it. I didn't feel a simple I'm sorry would be enough for her, or for myself for that matter. So what I had done to make amends for it, because if you do wrong by somebody, you have to make an attempt to make amends for it. So what I did was the same format that we use during our sessions, because we speak by phone. The same format that we use during our sessions, I called, the conference call line that we use, and using the materials that she works on in between our sessions, during the week between our sessions, I took it upon myself to give her the hour that normally we would be speaking to one another. It was just me going over her materials and everything that she went through and everything she shared with me, and giving her feedback and coaching on that material. And normally when we talk, our sessions are an hour, but I'm not like, by the book, all right, your hour's up, bye. No, we tend to go maybe 5-10 minutes over sometimes, and that's okay. So what I had done, like I said, I reviewed her information that she had given me from the homework that she had to do, and I gave her that coaching, and I recorded it. And so she didn't get the session she normally gets, but she got over an hour of coaching from me. And I haven't spoken to her yet, but I did let her know. I gave her something, I sent her something for her to review and look out for, and hopefully she won't still be mad at me when we speak this Friday, when I wake up early and get on the line early to be there waiting for her. And really, life can be more simple in our interpersonal relationships if we actively go about owning our own ish. We're gonna make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. No matter how much you love yourself and how wonderful a person you think you are, no matter how much you have your stuff together or project the image of having your stuff together, you're still gonna make mistakes. And the most important thing you can do is own it. Something I tell all my clients, and I tell my friends as well, is that you have to be the two most important things you have to be for yourself is you have to be your harshest critic, and you have to be your biggest cheerleader. If you can be both your harshest critic and your biggest cheerleader, what you develop the ability to do is defeat anybody who will come at you with some BS. Because we all have haters, and we all have people that like to call themselves taking us down a peg or two. I've had experience where I've dealt with people, excuse me, who were saying what they wanted to say, calling themselves helping keep me grounded. And what you have to realize is that the people in your life who are there to help keep you grounded don't do so by pulling you down. Let that marinate for a second. I'll say it again. The people in your life who truly want to help keep you grounded don't do so by pulling you down. All right? Sometimes you might need to get checked. Sometimes you might need a reminder of what's what. But at the same time, there's a way to do that where in which you're not being imposing, because we all have our own journeys to walk, and we are all, as responsible adults in our right mind, responsible for how we choose to direct ourselves on that journey and conduct ourselves on our journeys. So when you make a mistake, own it. And when you do something good, guess what? A lot of times, a lot of people won't even notice it, won't even acknowledge it. Even the people you're doing something nice for, they might not acknowledge it. They might not say thank you. So be it. You know, you just got to do it because it's the right thing to do. You got to do it because, at the very least, the most selfish you should be about it is, you know what? That's a deposit in the good karma bank. So some good will come back to me for having done this. And then let it go. Let it go. Right? Perfect example. And I'm talking now about being your biggest cheerleader. I put up a post about a ride I had last week where I went to pick up this woman, and she was drunk. She was leaving the house drunk. And she was leaving 2 kids alone in the house so she can go out and get her swerve on further. But seeing the condition that this woman was in, there was no way I was going to drive this woman anywhere. And long story short, this woman passed out before getting into my car. And so what I had done was literally carry this woman back up her stairs and up into her house and put her in her bed, put a blanket on her, had her kid call a family friend or somebody, an adult, to come watch him and his little sister while this woman was passed out in bed, or else I was going to call the police. And when it was over, I reported the situation to Uber and got back on the road and got the hell out of that town. You know, I didn't get any special email from Uber saying, hey, great job, you know, and I drive alone, so there's nobody to say, hey, man, you did good. But I know I did a good thing. And I'm proud of myself for having done that good thing for that woman and her children. So, you know, sometimes, you know, you got to accept the fact that a job well done is its own reward, and keep it pushing, keep it moving. And when you make a mistake, I gave you two examples. I gave you an example of how I took ownership of my mistake with my client and how I supported myself being my biggest cheerleader with how I helped the woman who was in this situation last week, you know. And that's how you keep yourself balanced. And when you can keep yourself balanced that way to where you're your biggest cheerleader and your harshest critic, you also take into consideration how other people feel. And in doing so, understand that some people might not be that balanced, that as balanced or that well balanced as you may develop yourself into being, as I like to think I've developed myself into being. And so you're more mindful that people might not want to hear what you have to say. No matter where you're coming from, this is something else. I talked about owning your stuff, but understand when there are times that you want to give somebody advice, or you want to give somebody some criticism, or you want to critique them, or you want to help keep them grounded. Ask yourself if that person really wants to hear what you have to say. Now, they may need to hear what you have to say, but if they don't want to hear what you have to say, if they're not open to hearing what you have to say, and then they're not going to be receptive to what you have to say. And God forbid you have the mindset that, well, you need to hear this, so I'm going to say it. And they're not receptive to it. You're wasting your time and their time. So you got to be mindful of that. There are a great many people whose comments I read and whose threads and posts and things I read in social media, and a lot of ways I see some people moving, that I really want to say, you might want to make a different choice. You might want to, you know, do something a little different. But then I think about how they will receive it, and I try to think about why they might be moving that way, and then I make the determination whether or not it's worth me saying anything. And tell you the truth, for my own peace of mind, it's played out more so in my favor when I've held my tongue. And that's something I had to learn and develop and teach myself how to do, because I was once the person where I'm going to say what I have to say and damn what you think. And if what I have to say is important enough, I still may say it, but I may make it general. And then what I've come to find is that there have been cases when I've spoken directly to people and they be like, yeah, okay, I hear you, thank you. And really just, they tune me out and they don't listen. But then let me put a subliminal, let me put something generic that might touch on their situation on my Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and they read that, and now they feel like I outed them. I ain't say their name, I ain't say nothing about them. But then I've had people go, yo, why you gotta put my business on social media? I didn't put your business on social, I ain't say nothing about you, you know? And so really, again, bringing it back home, the best way to defeat any of that is to be the first one to own your Ish. When you own your own stuff, when you own your own mess, and you go about making the efforts to clean it up yourself, can't nobody really touch you then. Even if they don't like the way you go about cleaning it up, even if they don't like the way you go about handling it, at least you're handling it. And that's the most important thing. So with that being said, let me wrap this up by saying, when you make a mistake, own it. Don't run away from it. Don't try and hide it. You know, I had to teach my little one a lesson. He made, you know, him and one of his friends at the dojo, they made a mistake. And being children, now they're children, so they get a little bit a leeway. They still had to, you know, at least mine had to still own up for his mistake, but they wanted to try and hide the mistake that they made. And it came out because we adults are smarter than our children in most cases, and you know, everything comes to light. And so we were able to handle that. But we want to be able to teach our children as well as ourselves to take responsibility and own our own stuff. Now I see some comments popping up, and Bobby, I see you, but I'm driving, so I'm really not trying to read these comments while I'm driving. But in the end, it's always better off to own your own stuff, right? You can make a mistake that the person doesn't even know you made. But if you make that mistake, own it and go up to that person and say, hey, listen, I just think you should know, I did this. It wasn't intentional, but however I can fix it, however I can clean it up, I apologize, and however I can help fix it or clean it up, I'm open and willing. You know? And as long as you make that gesture, it's on the other person whether or not they want to accept that. As long as you're being sincere, you know, don't go to somebody and be like, damn, man, I'm sorry, all right? Because, you know, who would want to accept that kind of apology? But if you're genuinely sincere and that person can see that, then it's on them to make the determination as to whether or not, you know, they want to help clean it up or allow you to clean it up and accept your apology and your means of attempting to atone for it, and keep it pushing. We must always keep moving forward. What my man saying in Luke Cage, always, what was it, always forward, never back, something like that. So that's what we want to do. Keep it moving forward, never moving backward, right? There's a reason, I'm gonna use the analogy since I'm driving, there's a reason why your windshield is a whole lot bigger than your rear view mirror, all right? Because you need to be focused on where you're going and not where you came from. You occasionally look back like I just did to see what's happening behind you, to see, you know, where you were, and keep it moving forward. With that being said, if you're just coming in now, you just came in at the end, but this will be uploading to be replayed later on, so go ahead and catch it from the beginning. So to everybody that was watching, I will read your comments later, like and respond accordingly. Beyond that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have yourself a good day. Peace.